Good afternoon, everyone. Suddenly, they're trying to explain away thousands of sinkholes on the Dead Sea shorelines. Wouldn't have anything to do with the crust moving as our planets line up. In 2024, not seen since 79 AD. Prioritizing inland waterways projects U.S. I wonder if they know there'll be land subsistence. And as your food reaches the stratosphere and energy prices 12x in different countries, out of the cities, a wise use of money as we return back to precious metals and cryptocurrency as the fiat system splits and fractures because productivity is no longer a constant. Hyperinflation, 11 million job openings, and an energy crisis. Sound familiar? It's like Jimmy Carter in the 1970s all over again. Americans are paying twice as much at the gas pump and the grocery store. The Democrats control all three branches of government, and there's just a couple of questions you need to ask yourself. Do you think you'll be better off in 2022 than you have been in 2021? And do you think the stock market will trade higher the next 3 years than it did from 2016 to 2020? If the answer is no, learn how simple it is to add physical gold and silver to your portfolio ahead of the rise in inflation and predicted price rises. Patriot Gold Group has the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver. Call 1-800-356-4470 and get a free investor guide today. And with the knowledge that Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer from 2016 to present, click on the link in the description box below for more information. And now on with the video. Going to start you off here. Gas giants lining up October of 2024. Now the best alignment would be 79 AD. There has been one other time in the last 2,000 years, around the 1486 era. I'm going to go with the best match, once in the last 2,000 years, 79 AD. As we step through quarter one of 2022, the Earth is going to swing and be more magnetically locked into that squaring pattern. Second magnetic field in the solar system forming, and as we get out to 2024, Sun stepping down off the solar max into solar minimum, Earth sandwiched, second looping toroid magnetic field. You would expect the surface of our planet to have cracks and rifts. And lo and behold, suddenly there needs to be an explanation why thousands of sinkholes are just appearing around the Dead Sea shoreline. Enter the explanations. The land collapses after runoff from periodic flash floods dissolve the salt patches that are contained within the Earth. Now, just as a regular year-by-year level, the water recedes about 3 feet every year, and this leaves behind salt deposits. Go back 2,000 years, and that water level was much higher. And I love how the number 33 is tossed in there. They can exceed 10 meters, 33 feet in depth. Very specific on that. So what would cause all of this rifting? Has to be extra rainfall, doesn't it? Winter Storm Carmel hitting Israel with strong winds, heavy rain, should say record rain and snows. Israel and Lebanon, green, exceptional rainfall all across northern Africa, moving into the Middle East. North African monsoons changing, so are the rainfall patterns in these same, what is considered arid areas, but jumping over right next to the Dead Sea area, this is the hail. That's not normal. So as I was still on The Watchers, one of my favorite sites to go to look for headlines about extreme weather, I just keyworded in Israel because I wanted to see what the record rains, the floods, and different types of anomalous precipitation accumulation totals there were. Right up there, Winter Storm Carmel, heavy rains and wind. And then the laundry list continues. Massive floods hit Israel after one of the rainiest days in the country's history. Israel breaks 51-year-old rainfall record, historic flooding, disruptive snows, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, unseasonal thunderstorms hitting Israel, and violent rainstorms and large hail. You can see the intensification in this area. That explains the rainfall increasing. If this salt deposit's being eroded, there's validity behind it. Or is it a combination of natural crustal pullings because of magnetic effects? Our Earth's magnetosphere is waning, polar wander is happening, anomalies on the sun, and everywhere you look, Earth cracks. Now this will continue to disrupt our on-the-surface infrastructure moving forward. You can see off to the right there, another rift and crack, large. If that were a road there, that would be non-passable. So would rail lines. And if you think there would be any pipelines, conduit, fiber optic cable in there, that would have been ripped and broken too. So that's what we're looking for moving forward. In addition, I found this incredibly interesting. This is a salt production facility, dehydrated sea salt. So think about production levels. Salt was such a rare thing going back 500 years plus ago, it was traded equally to its weight in gold. So if these systems break down and do not allow delivery of salt, spices, sugars, etc. that we're used to, where are you going to get it? Now, interestingly also enough here, nature does provide natural salt pans drying out in these holes once they're filled with salt water. It looks like it's coming up from beneath. You can see the salt crystallizing around the small ponds there. This just looks like the Earth is falling in on itself. An enormous amount of sinkholes, and we're seeing that across the U.S. In many places. Croatia also is another area to look for sinkholes. And then right on time, the U.S. prioritizing $2.5 billion for inland waterways projects, noting that grain deliveries would be affected in the infrastructure, land subsistence, earth cracking, rifting at the same time. So they're trying to shore up the ones that they might see in advance that would have a problem, or improving water flow through dam projects, which we've seen an enormous amount of overflows, tops, breaks in dams. Earth's moving, so are the dams. When we look at the food prices, it continues northward. Fertilizer prices skyrocketing. So next year, coming into the planting season, you can expect the fertilizer woes to be headline news across the world media, that there just won't be enough fertilizer for every farmer, every country on the planet that would need it, which means yield declines globally. So if they're looking at a 12% reduction in global fertilizer distribution and usage due to ammonia prices, lack of natural gas deliveries, factories, refineries, and that whole chain, getting into the supply chain woes, 12% reduction in global fertilizer will result in what percent global crop yield decline? That's the question not a lot of people are asking. And then you're going to add in anomalies like this, Singapore, 12x increase in the power price. So do the math with me here. Your food prices double, your power prices double, gasoline almost doubling. Where do we go? How much money do people have in their pockets before they're going to get really angry because every day they work, it's to feed themselves and to keep a roof on their head. And when I say that, at the bare minimum existence of just staying in your house and doing nothing else but working for food and working to keep your house warm. Society has imploded for less. And it all makes sense why a new form of economy is emerging at this time. Cryptocurrencies and an enormous amount of people returning back to precious metals, gold and silver. Remember, the ratio of the last 4,000 years for silver has been about 15 to 1. Today it's 80 to 1. I'm using the 4,000-year average in the understanding that precious metals have been used for thousands, yes, plural, of years. Cryptocurrency is new. It's a faster way to transact. The value's not in goods and services to buoy up fiat. But if you are going to use your money, hustling to disappear is a great idea. Remote areas are good for now to get out of the chaos, but you see a lot of plans moving to try to push people back into the city that have gone out to the countryside. But I think what I would call this is wave one of migration, where a lot of people are getting out to the countryside. Once an enormous amount of breakdowns happen in the cities and control of food is going to be the number one thing, an enormous amount of resources are going to be diverted to controlling the food from the fields to the distribution points. You could stay out of that chaos by not being in the chaos physically, but at the same time, you're going to want to get some storable foods. My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030, the 3-month emergency food supply, 25-year shelf life, and with food prices rising, whatever you buy now is going to be cheaper than in the next 6 months. I do appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. That link for My Patriot Supply is in the description box below, along with the links to tonight's stories and images. I hope you do some more research. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.